No one noticed Joy, a quiet housekeeper in a wealthy Atlanta home. Until one day, the mother of an autistic boy saw something impossible. Her silent son suddenly began repeating words, in Spanish, then in French, then 7 more languages. This is a story about resilience, hidden talent, and how ordinary people can perform extraordinary miracles. Joy Williams sat near the front door of the bus, the hum of the city rolling past like a low tide. The rubber soles of her shoes tapped quietly on the floor as the bus lurched forward. Outside, the world blurred. Tall glass buildings, morning joggers with steaming coffee cups, a stray dog sniffing at a cracked sidewalk, the stale scent of bus seats mixed with a faint hint of rain on asphalt. At 32, she was used to being invisible. Black woman, janitor, quiet, a shadow in the back of a rich woman's mansion in Buckhead. The bus filled with chatter and laughter, but no one glanced her way. The noise buzzed around her like static. She wrapped her worn coat tighter, hiding the tiredness beneath a calm exterior. Her breath made small clouds on the window. Almost there, she told herself, fingers gripping the strap above her head. Inside the mansion, the polished floors gleamed, reflecting the soft morning light. The walls smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and expensive wood polish. Joy moved quietly through the halls, dustcloth in hand, careful not to disturb the silence. Her employer, Claire Anderson, a sharp-faced woman who ran a successful IT company, barely looked up from her phone. Joy didn't mind. She'd long ago stopped expecting acknowledgement. She wiped a smudge from the marble countertop, her hands steady despite the ache in her back. Joy's world was small but full of layers. She lived in a cramped one-bedroom apartment where the walls seemed to close in after a long day. She paid $900 a month rent, barely enough. Her 2 jobs stretched her thin, but her mind was elsewhere. On the counter sat her empty lunchbox, meticulously cleaned and ready for the next day. It was her small act of pride. Nothing wasted, nothing forgotten. The boy was different. Toby, Claire's 6-year-old son, didn't speak. Not a word. The doctors said autism made him unreachable. He had a caretaker, but the woman barely noticed him. Her eyes often glazed, her attention elsewhere. Joy watched Toby from across the room, humming softly under her breath. Songs in Spanish, French, Italian, languages she had learned before life pulled her away from college, from her dreams of being a linguist and teacher. The sound of her voice was gentle, a thread weaving through the quiet. One afternoon, Toby's small hand reached for hers. He looked up with wide eyes and whispered, "Luna." The word floated between them. Joy froze. That was the first time he spoke a word aloud. Not in English, but Spanish. Her heart pounded, a mixture of hope and fear. "Don't scare him," she told herself, voice barely above a whisper. Days passed. Joy switched languages softly, carefully. French this time, then Italian. Toby didn't speak, but he started writing, finger-tracing shapes on the glass window. Letters, words, flags. Joy's breath caught. She was afraid someone would notice, would take Toby away, or worse, fire her. The risk felt heavy on her chest. Then came the day Claire returned unexpectedly. Her heels clicked sharply on the marble floor. She stopped in the doorway, staring. Toby was speaking German now, his small voice steady, clear. "Was Max du?" he asked. "What are you doing?" Claire's eyes widened, her posture stiffened. "What are you doing with my son?" she demanded, voice tight. Joy's hands trembled slightly. "I'm just..." Talking with him, she said softly. Silence stretched between them, thick and fragile. Claire's eyes filled with tears she didn't wipe away. Joy could barely breathe. She feared losing everything. Later, Claire asked her to stay. "Who are you, really?" she said, voice low and cautious. Joy swallowed. "Just a housekeeper," she replied, eyes downcast. Claire's world shifted as she learned about the 9 languages Joy spoke. The doctors called it impossible. Joy kept her past locked away. A college library card, old papers stuffed in a box. Claire found the diploma, the awards. "Who would have guessed?" she murmured, half to herself. Claire offered Joy a chance. To work as Toby's assistant, quietly, unofficially. Rules stood in the way. Joy had no license. But Claire found a loophole, calling her a tutor, a consultant. Not everyone accepted it. The house staff whispered behind her back. "She's just the cleaning lady," one said. Still, Joy began lessons with Toby. Words, pictures, flags. The boy's face lit up, and for the first time Claire saw hope. School officials resisted. They demanded certified teachers. Joy faced cold refusals, but stood firm. "You don't have to be important to do important things," she told them. Claire used her influence. Complaints, news stories, questions. Suddenly, they were under a spotlight. Joy's life, once invisible, exposed. Fear shadowed her days. Then came the video. Toby counting in Japanese. Voice clear and proud. It spread like wildfire. "The world noticed," Claire whispered. "She's given me a lesson, not about languages, but about attention." Joy's phone buzzed one evening. A message from an old professor. "You never disappeared. I always believed." Tears blurred her vision. For the first time, hope. The news from the video still echoed in the quiet rooms of the mansion. Joy sat by the window, watching the fading light spill across the polished floors. Outside, Atlanta's evening hum softened, the scent of damp earth mixed with the distant clatter of traffic. Toby's laughter drifted from the playroom, lighter, freer. Claire's sharp gaze had softened, though the weight of doubt still lingered. Claire had asked Joy to stay, to talk. The night air between them was thick with unspoken questions. "Who are you, really?" Claire had pressed, voice steady but cautious. Joy's eyes didn't leave the floor. "I'm just someone who loves languages," she said quietly. The truth felt too big to hold in one breath. The discovery of Joy's past rattled Claire more than she expected. A diploma, old college papers, even some published articles hidden away in a forgotten folder. "Who would have thought?" Claire muttered, as she traced the worn edges of a faded certificate. The housekeeper who no one saw was, in fact, a scholar, a linguist, a woman who had traded her dreams for duty when her mother died, and her brothers needed her. Claire's world, built on precision and control, wobbled. She proposed a solution. Joy would work with Toby officially, though the law forbade it without certification. So Claire styled her as a consultant, a tutor, bending rules in quiet corners. The staff whispered behind closed doors, suspicion and dismissal in their tones. "She's just the cleaning lady," someone muttered once too loudly. Joy didn't react. She held her dignity like a fragile flame. Lessons began. Words and pictures, flags and sounds. Toby's eyes brightened in ways Claire had never seen before. But at school, the resistance was stiff. The principal's face hardened when Claire explained Joy's role. "We need licensed teachers," he insisted. "No exceptions." Joy's voice was calm but firm when she replied, "You don't have to be someone important to do important things." Her words hung in the room, a quiet challenge. Behind the scenes, Claire worked her networks, complaints filed, articles written, stories told. The media buzzed with fascination. Joy was suddenly under a public microscope. She felt exposed, vulnerable, yet strangely alive. Every glance, every whisper carried the weight of fear and hope. Then came the moment the world saw Toby counting to 10 in Japanese. The video went viral. Faces lit up screens around the city and beyond. "She gave me a lesson," Claire said one evening, voice low. "Not about languages, about attention." Joy smiled faintly, the smallest light in the room. One evening, a message appeared on Joy's phone from an old professor she hadn't heard from in years. "You never disappeared. I always believed." Tears slipped down her cheeks, not of sorrow, but of a hope reborn. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the blinds, warm and steady. Claire walked into the kitchen, carrying 2 cups of coffee. She paused, watching Joy's quiet movements as she prepared breakfast in the small staff kitchen. "You know," Claire said softly, "we might be onto something here." Joy looked up, eyes clear. "It's not just about Toby. It's about what's possible when someone sees you." Claire nodded, a flicker of something like respect passing between them. "Let's see how far this can go." Outside, the city pulsed with life, unaware that in one quiet house, a bridge was being built. One word, one gesture, one small miracle at a time. The early morning light spilled softly through the tall windows of the school's new language room. It was a space filled with colorful maps, flags hanging from the ceiling, and shelves lined with books in every language Joy could name, and a few she hadn't heard before. Toby sat on the floor, his small fingers tracing the letters of a French storybook. His voice was slow, careful, but it was there. He was reading aloud. Joy sat beside him, her heart steady, watching the transformation she had never dared to hope for. Around them, a handful of children listened, eyes wide, their faces bright with curiosity. The air smelled faintly of crayons and fresh paper, mixed with the soft hum of anticipation. Claire stood nearby, watching silently. The CEO, who once saw Joy only as a housekeeper, had become a quiet champion. Her usual sharp gaze softened with something like wonder. She wore a simple blouse today, sleeves rolled up, the weight of meetings replaced by the quiet power of this small classroom. "Your son has come a long way," Claire said, breaking the silence. Her voice was low, almost hesitant. Joy glanced up, a small smile playing on her lips. "He's teaching me just as much." The room was still for a moment. Then the door opened, and a woman entered, a mother from the neighborhood clutching her daughter's hand. "I heard about this place," she said softly. "My little girl started listening to French stories at home because of Toby." Joy's eyes flicked to Claire, who nodded. It was more than just a lesson in language. It was a ripple, spreading quietly through the community. Later, in a small ceremony bathed in afternoon light, a foundation was announced in honor of Joy's mother, scholarships for young women from struggling neighborhoods, encouraging them to study languages and teaching. Claire stood beside Joy, the 2 women united by something neither had expected. Joy held the framed library card she had kept all these years, now a symbol not of what was lost, but of what could be found. She smiled softly. The past had not vanished. It had only been waiting. "I'm not going to be the director," Joy said one afternoon, sitting with a group of children. "I want to stay here, with them." Claire watched, quiet and proud. Outside, the school's halls buzzed with a new energy, and a sign by the door read simply, "Mentor." One day, as Joy walked down the corridor, people stopped to greet her. The old security guard smiled warmly. "You used to just take out the trash," he said with a chuckle. Joy laughed, the sound light and sure. "Now I build bridges." Behind her, the future stretched wide and bright, a place where no one was invisible.